Hi, Bob. It's such an honor to meet you digitally today. And we're going to do an Ask Me Anything session. So awesome that we can actually ask you anything. We received a lot of questions and I've selected a few of them. So let's just dive into the first question. Is that okay with you?
Of course, Vivian, and very pleased to be here and talking to you. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So let's go to our first question. And I'm going to peek a little because this question is from Lynn Barris from Relish. Everyone knows and understands how IBM is a big proponent of AI, but CPOs are rather conservative. So what is your realistic assessment of where AI can help and where it cannot help?
Yeah, IBM is a technology company and a very innovative technology company with, 24 years of leading patent, awards. But I think AI, and some people refer to AI as artificial intelligence. At IBM, we call it augmented intelligence. So the whole point around AI is that it can help our human workers to make better decisions, to make them faster, to make them with better insights, and therefore deliver better outcomes. And there's lots of different types of AI that you don't have to be a technology company to adopt. For example, virtual assistants. They can be used to help your procurement teams answer how-to questions and to educate the requesters on how to do trivial tasks. This frees up a lot of the time of our actual procurement and buyers to work on value-add activities. So I think, the concept that AI is only for large multinational technology companies is actually a myth.
So do you think we need AI alongside human power then? Not on its own, but just combine it with our human power and then we have something really powerful in hand?
We refer to human workers and digital workers. And I think in the procurement and, companies and enterprises of the future, these digital and human workers will operate synchronously and symbiotically. In other words, we will need both. And what we really want the digital workers to do is to eliminate transactional activities, to eliminate checking, to eliminate mundane, boring tasks that can actually be done by digital workers using AI. Thereby, we can have people focus on things that really matter, like driving innovation, minimizing risk, working with our suppliers on sustainability, on doing the things that are going to be most impactful in the new world that we face.
Thank you so much. On to our second question, and that one is from Susan Walsh from the Classification Guru. And her question is, what is your view on how much of a priority clean data should be for any organization? So clean data.
I think data is the foundational layer upon which everything is built. And, data is everywhere. As we look also at the use of data, we want in procurement, we really want to be ensuring we are getting best value from our suppliers. We're doing source selection in a thoughtful way. And therefore, we need to take all of the data that is out there on competitiveness, on benchmarking, on what we have bought before, and apply that data along with all of the other structured data that we have to make the best decisions, whether that be a sourcing decision, whether that be a risk decision that we're making, whether that be onboarding a supplier or not onboarding a supplier. So data, we actually say, one of our CEOs, Ginny Rometty, coined the phrase that data is the new oil. And that's what is going to make industry operate, and that is what is going to allow us to be much more intelligent. It's going to allow us to apply AI and analytics to that data to give us much better outcomes.
Wow, I think that's a great question. A great answer to the question of Susan. So our next question is about finance, or let me rephrase it. It's a question from Alan Leith from P2P Network. She's wondering, what do you feel? How important is it to the success of an organization that procurement is aligned with finance?
Yes, another great question. Firstly, I think it is absolutely critical that procurement and finance operate kind of together as one team, because as the CFO function has the responsibility for ensuring the fidelity of the company, the operations of the company, and achieving the objectives of the company in terms of things like free cash flow, profit, margin, and all of those revenue and all of those critical metrics. In IBM, we actually moved procurement probably 4 or 5 years ago now under the CFO function. And if you look at enterprises, sometimes procurement is under various different areas. Chief Supply Chain Officer, sometimes it's under HR, sometimes they're coupled with real estate. But having procurement part of the finance team helps to build that synergy and that one view that we want to all be focused on in enterprises. We also took a further step, which was previously accounts payable was part of the finance organization, and we actually moved it under procurement, because in accounts payable, we have to validate invoices, make payments to suppliers, make them on time, manage our cash flow, and do all of those things. A lot of what happens in the accounts payable process is determined upstream in the procurement process, in terms of contracts, in terms of payment terms, in terms of what we do with those suppliers. So in addition to being really important, I think we also want to think about accounts payable. And as we mentioned earlier in one of the questions, AI and the application of AI, accounts payable is a fantastic area to do that, because a lot of accounts payable is tying in the invoices to the POs, to the contracts, to the goods receipts. And now in IBM, we don't only look at 3-way matches, we look at 4-way matches to ensure there is even more rigor around ensuring we pay what is actually due and correct and invoice correctly. So lots of opportunities there, and I think a great place for procurement to be integrated into.
Great, thank you. So our next question is about a challenge we probably can all relate to. It's a question from Rajeev Gupta from Conduent, and he's mentioning the challenge of having all these different customers, right? And all these different customers are probably using their own procurement platforms. So what he's wondering is, how can you onboard all those different platforms with very different feature sets, different user experience, and having to keep all them up to date with changing business data? What is IBM's solution to harmonize all these different procurement platforms?
And I think in today's world, if you look at a lot of the research around procurement systems and platforms, I think what we have to do is operate in a world where partnerships are going to be ever present, technology is going to be ever present, and we need to embrace that. And what do I mean by that? Well, I think we need to be thinking about APIs that allow ingestion of all of the different platforms and technologies that are out there. So even though we select a base transactional source to pay system. It might be Ariba, it could be BuyerQuest. I don't want to preference any type of platform, but there are so many more procurement, information, databases and technologies. So I think an embracing partnership, an inclusive partnership on technology, an API world, a platform that allows for us to take all of those different and diverse technologies and data into our own realm and then work with that, apply AI to understand it, is where we want to head.
So our next question is about something you are calling it TIS or TYS. Maybe you can shortly elaborate on that. What is TYS?
Okay, so TYS, the acronym stands for Trust Your Supplier. But basically what Trust Your Supplier is a digital passport for suppliers. And it's based on blockchain. And so a supplier can put all of their information into the blockchain, which is immutable, can only be changed by them, and which can be shared with all of the buyers in the world instantaneously as it is updated. So if you think about that from a supplier perspective, what happens is they can make a change to one piece of their data and it instantly is visible to everybody that they deal with. If you look at the buyer, what happens is all of that information is now in one place. And by the way, on the Trust Your Supplier blockchain platform, there are verifiers like Dun & Bradstreet and EcoVadis. So the things that the supplier is saying can be verified by those independent third-party verifiers. Think of all of the work that saves the buyer.
So the question about TYS is from Thomas Weimer from Juniper Networks. And he wants to know, when companies at this stage make the investment in it, why do they do this? Is it for experience building, so for a learning purpose? Is it for an immediate operation solution or any other motivation? So what is the reason to invest in it now?
The reason, I would say, are all of those things that you mentioned. The platform is ready now. The platform is easily integrated to whatever system that your company is using. The information is all populated by the supplier. We talked about how important data was earlier on, master data and data that's changing. So that data is managed by the supplier and can be immediately used by the buyer. The other thing is we talked about efficiencies and getting our human workers working on value add, innovation, risk management, and doing sustainability and driving the future agenda of procurement. So instead of weeks and months to onboard a new supplier, it can be done in hours. So cycle time, speed, and veracity, meaning the truth of the data, because it's verified, and this can now be applied almost immediately.
Yeah, that's great. So the next step would probably be making smart contracts and things like that in the blockchain as well then.
Absolutely. I think there is a roadmap of activities that are, currently being worked on as diversity, an authenticated list of diverse suppliers. We're looking at sustainability, looking at how suppliers are managing sustainability. I think, sustainability and protecting our planet for the future generations is of critical importance to procurement teams. It's all about data, Vivian, coming back. We need that data. We need the visibility. We need to be aware of it, and our teams need it to be automated. It's too difficult and it's too vast to be done by humans.
Well, this is it. Thank you so much, Bob. I think it's really inspiring and I love your vision, and I think everyone will agree with me that it was very, very great to hear from you. So let's get back to the studio.